It's van life, it's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. I just wanna live a long life. It's van life.
Hi everybody! Welcome back to another episode of
FilAmstagram.
Well, we have an exciting announcement today. Miriam started her homeschooling, so this episode is going to be dedicated to that, to her, and to why we decided to choose homeschooling / vanschooling for her. So stay tuned, it's going to be a good one. So why did we choose homeschooling and how is this part of our van life? All of us know how much this pandemic has really disrupted the world. I mean, in every aspect of our lives, right? So those of us with school-age children, we really are feeling what it has done to our children's education. This has solidified our decision that we made a long time ago to actually homeschool our child. So the fact that, we're not going to delay her education, we're not going to let this dynamic that has happened disrupt her learning process. We're just going to take control of it, and we're going to do it ourselves as her first formators anyway.
And in the Philippines, the pandemic has hit even harder because unlike other countries, all schooling has stopped for a while. Some of the schools are operating, but none of them are doing face-to-face classes. Most of them are doing online classes, which has taken a toll because a lot of the students are not equipped financially to sustain internet in their own houses. And some of them are doing modular lessons, which the parents are bearing the brunt of because suddenly all the teaching has to be done through the parents who have little or no background teaching their own children. And the third option is homeschooling, which has gained some ground in the Philippines recently, but more so during the pandemic. So the advantage for the homeschooling parent is that it is actually designed to be delivered by the parent itself to the child. And it's a little more individualized than the modular or online approaches. So there's more attention that's given to the child.
So we came up with a little list of advantages for homeschooling. So for us, first and foremost on the list was you can homeschool from almost anywhere. So we started our married life as missionary volunteers in Central America. And of course, we were planning for when we did have children to be able to homeschool them in that environment to take care of their educational needs.
And in the event that we were to transfer to another country, it won't disrupt much of their schooling because we can just pack up her books and transfer to another country. And it'll still be the same curriculum as long as we have her materials mailed to us.
So second on our list was what we really like about this is it's a complete integration of school from home and work from home. So both of us work completely 100% online right now. So we can work from anywhere. We work from our home, and our home is our van now. So we could be traveling around the country and still be working from home. It really ties in with the rest of what we have on our list. Like number 3 is a control of the curriculum, so we can focus more on things. If we're working right next to Miriam as she's working on her studies, like one of us is being the teacher while the other is working online, vice versa.
Yeah.
We can spend more time with Miriam where she needs the time, and we can just let her be independent when she's independent because she loves to do a lot of her studies just independently. She'll be humming or whistling and just doing her schoolwork, and it's a beautiful thing to witness. And then we're free to be able to be there with her, but yet be doing our own thing and doing our work online that we need to do.
And there's something special in having that opportunity to see your daughter grow and reach her milestones, learn new things, and just to be able to enjoy her presence and to be able to bond with her in ways that we probably wouldn't be able to enjoy if we both worked in offices and we only see her early in the morning or late at night when all her energy has been zapped. So it's a different way of living life now that there's the new normal, and it's a good opportunity for us.
Yeah, it's a new dynamic for the family life that I think is actually an old dynamic, but as society got more and more advanced or complicated and parents started working away from their children and then of course now you have people that work overseas and they have to be really far away from their children. This is a dynamic that's bringing family back together if families take that opportunity to do that. We're taking this opportunity, we're taking the reins, and we're seeing some of the blessings that are already starting to come of that. The next on the list was freedom to teach in creative ways. We've been able to do a lot with Miriam already, even though we've only started a couple weeks ago with her homeschooling, but to be able to integrate the things that she already loves, that she wouldn't quite consider school, like some of the videos that she watches, to integrate those videos in an educational way. So how did you come up with doing that thing? Because that was a very creative thing you did.
Yeah, so hardly a day passes when she doesn't watch one of her favorite YouTube channels, Zabuma Food. So it's throwback to the early 2000s. It's a nature show for kids. So she likes to learn about these new animals And what I require her to do after she watches is that she has to think about 3 animals that she has watched, that she has learned about in the show, and she has to say an interesting fact about each animal, and she has to write them down. So there's the listening and watching comprehension, which is part of her language skills, and the writing skills also. And it also teaches her a lot of patience, because a lot of the time she doesn't want to go through with it, but with practice she actually gets to write down sentences. And at her age, she's only 4, she's turning 5 this December. She is actually far advanced, because she actually asked us how she would write down certain sentences, not just words, not just letters, but and she would write them down to the best of her ability, even though it's it's sketchy,
it looks like perfect. One long 40-letter word sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes she doubles it up. Yeah, but it's amazing, because that's not something that you would expect at her age, but she's doing it, and she's actually teaching herself a lot of the time.
That's right, yeah. So we really are able to tailor fit the lessons. That was another bullet point that we had on our list there, that we can incorporate things that she's already familiar with in the world, like different videos and whatnot, but we can incorporate them right into the curriculum.
You can use a lot of different things that are in the home environment to become a learning experience. For example, baking. Like she likes to bake with tatay. Tatay Paul is the baker in the family.
Of course, mathematics comes into that too, because you're measuring things out, and
timing.
Everything's an educational experience. If you kind of take that mindset and just tweak it a little bit, and you can see how you can really creatively just add things into her educational life, on a daily basis. And it makes it fun for her. It makes it fun for us, because it's a little less daunting for us. I mean, it is a little scary that that your child's education is in your hands, and in your hands only, So there's a little bit of an aspect of, you have to be a certain type of person, I guess, that is willing to take that challenge. And a lot of people do it with several children. I know homeschooling families of 10 children, and kudos, hats off to the mothers and fathers, because that's a real challenge, because even just for one child, it's been a challenge for us. But you see the fruits of it. As Bing said, Miriam, if she follows the curriculum, she can get through several days worth of work on a subject in 15 or 20 minutes. So,
and she likes it that way.
So she's way ahead of this year's curriculum already. So that means she really gets to incorporate more things of what she likes to do,
which is
on her daily basis.
She's very active. She likes to skip and run and play with mud, sticking things in mud.
Clamor.
Yeah, making noise. Yeah, music.
I don't know if you can hear her in the background. She went inside.
She's making bird calls, bird howls, whistle howl things.
Also on the list was safety, right, Bing?
Yeah.
Because the world these days is much different than it used to be. Who knows how it's going to shuffle out after the pandemic, but pre-pandemic, you can't just send your child off to walk to school anymore. I think more than 20 million children disappear every year. The plague of human trafficking, there's so many plagues out there in our society these days that we really have to keep an eye on our children.
And then there's also the financial aspect. It's a lot cheaper, because first, we spend a lot less on tuition. The fees to enroll her are much less than what we would have paid if we enrolled her in a private school. And it's even more for us, because Miriam, technically, she doesn't have a Filipino citizenship, because she was born in Central America. So she has a U.S. citizenship and a Central American citizenship, but she does not have the Filipino citizenship as yet. So we would have had to pay a foreigner's tuition. It's more expensive.
International schools are always.
She's gonna be an international student here in the Philippines, even though she's half Filipino. And because of that, we were able to save a lot.
And just the efficiency, right? Of the time it takes to get your child to and from school.
Exactly.
The gas, you're spending gas, so you're spending extra money that actually adds up over a year's time, if you were to add it up. So not only the hours that you're losing, quote unquote losing, just going to get them and dropping them off every day, but just the gasoline and things that you don't think of that actually help you at the end of the year when you have that extra money, or all those extra hours that you were able to put into something else. It just seemed for us and our lifestyle and how we envision our lifestyle over the next several years, it just seemed like the right fit. I mean, if there's a time that we decide to transition her back into public or normal or private school, there won't be an issue with it.
The homeschooling program that we chose, which is CETAN, is an internationally recognized curriculum based in the US. So if we ever went to the US, she won't have a problem integrating into the schools, because it's already recognized by the government, or in other countries where it's been accredited.
And I just thought of even in a place like the United States, where the government frowns on it a little bit, or certain areas of the US, but what they're starting to notice with homeschooled children is that when they apply for universities, or even after university when they apply for jobs, when the employer or the university sees that you've been homeschooled, it's starting to have its own clout. It's starting to have its own place in the world. Like, oh, this person's been homeschooled. That means that they have this certain integrity. You know, they have a certain way that they've been taught and formed. And universities are starting to latch onto that. They're seeing people that have been homeschooled, and a lot of times they get accepted a lot easier into a university now, and they get scholarships. You know, these are the ones that are really shining in the academics and at the university level. And beyond that, employers also look at that, and it's starting to kind of make waves in the world.
There's a certain freedom in homeschooling to tailor fit the curriculum to enhance the child's strengths and properly address the weaknesses, which is not going to be a priority if she was in a regular school. So her strengths in arts and music, she's very active, so she's very physical, so her physical education is above par. Those are the strengths that we can use to keep her attention on the subject matter. So if we can integrate all these strengths so that she can learn from them while she's doing them, it doesn't seem like schoolwork to her. It's going to be like she's just playing, but she's learning while she's playing. And her weaknesses...
paying attention.
Her weakness is
obeying the teacher.
Yeah, she's very headstrong. She's very stubborn. I mean, you don't probably see it in a lot of in our videos because she looks so prim and proper. But most of the time, she has her own mind. So when she set her mind to do something or not to do something, that's it. Yep. And here she comes. Yeah. So if she wants to do something, I have to jump on that opportunity and let her do it. If she doesn't want to do something, I have to wait for another opportunity when she's actually in the mood to do something for school.
Just to add to that, to her strengths and weaknesses, as a parent and a teacher in homeschooling, you're able to see these strengths that maybe you didn't know that your child had, and now you'll be able to really focus in on them, like comprehension and logic. Like just the other day, we were doing sequences with shapes, and she had to logically deduce what would be the next shape in a certain blank area. You know, she had to put the shape in, and be able to see where her strengths are in these things. You might start realizing that some of her weaknesses might not be weaknesses. They may be that she's just bored with things because her mind might be like so far beyond it that in her mind it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, you're asking me this, you know?
I was prepared to lecture her on why some of the sequences are the correct answer, why the triangle comes after the circle and not the square, and she just picks up her pencil and draws what's needed what's the next one in that sequence without even going into a discussion. I mean, she knows in her mind what the correct answer is, but the gears are already turning in her mind. I didn't need to explain it to her.
So this is a way I think that homeschooled children and coming into their adult lives, if they've been homeschooled their whole lives, like if their parents can pick up on these things that maybe a teacher wouldn't have because a teacher has to attend to 20 students. As a parent, you're involved in it in a way that you only have one student, we only have one student, so we can really focus in, but you're also wanting to enhance all of these strengths that she has that maybe you didn't even know she had these strengths until you were teaching her yourself, and you're seeing these things just kind of pop up. They're kind of like budding up out of the ground, and as you're teaching her over the years, you know how to enhance those strengths to where they integrate into her whole formation. It's been a creative challenge. Just because, I mean, sometimes she really does she's headstrong and she wants to do her own thing.
Imagine you have only one student and that student cuts your class.
Was that the air going out of the balloon?
That's the way it is sometimes. Yeah, she plays cookie from homeschool.
Okay. The balloon has landed.
She says, oh, I need to go pee-pee. And she goes inside the house and she comes out 4 hours later. If you let her.
There's my one student.
Yeah, she gets lost in her drawings, mostly her drawings. She goes inside and sees her toys, plays for a while, and
within the century.
she draws. She forgets that she's supposed to be writing or doing math or reading inside the van where we're staying.
We do have a section where all of her books are. We're filming right now on a table that we bought her for her schooling, so she has her own proper table where she can actually put a little cup, a little drink, and put her pens.
This one.
Yeah. That one.
What on?
Yeah, so you're paying attention. We didn't even know you were paying attention.
I read in one of the homeschooling books that we have, your greatest qualification to homeschool your child is that you are the parent. And that speaks volumes to me because we know our own child or how best to affect those developmental skills and attitudes and values that we want her to learn, to equip her to grow up to be a better person.
I'm sure as we go through time, there's going to be more challenges.
It is challenging, actually. Personally, because I have taught students from 4th grade all the way up to the college level. Sometimes it's easier to teach them than an almost 5-year-old with her own mind. There is that level. I can't believe my mind. There's always that element of novelty for me because this is the first time that I'm handling lessons for a 5-year-old. That's something I have not gone through with my professional life, but this is something that parents can actually enjoy.
Well, isn't
It's
that
a
just
learning
parenting in
process.
general? I mean, when you have a child, it's just like,
You're learning things.
What do I do
for
with
the
this
first time.
child?
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the homeschooler, the student who is learning. You're also learning.
yeah. So that was an epiphany for me right now, even for the parent, the parental aspect is we're growing, we're being educated in a certain way that I didn't think about until right now, you know. So of course, as parents, you know, we want what's best for our child, and right now, apparently that's popcorn. So taking all of this turmoil that has happened with the pandemic, our lives were in turmoil anyway because we had to leave our voluntary lifestyle because of a socio-political uprising that happened in the country where we were. So we were forced to leave and basically lost everything that we owned. And so we kind of had to start our lives over. And it's a perfect timing now. Now that we're getting back financially, we're able to work online. And, you know, now bringing this aspect of our familial life, it's, you know, it's been a blessing to be able to just be at home and have the time to be able to get our work done, our respective works done online, but also to be able to attend to her as much as she needs it in her schooling. So, thanks for joining us on today's episode. We hope you got something out of this. And as always, sending love from the Philippines!